Salaries are rarely transparent for a reason. The perception that your earnings should remain a strictly confidential matter feels normal, but it is rarely accidental. This architecture of secrecy dictates the entire balance of power between worker and firm. In a modern meritocracy, we operate on a specific assumption that you are paid exactly what you are worth. Economists call this your marginal product of labor, the idea that your compensation is perfectly tailored to your unique skills, effort, and output. Because of that math, your paycheck becomes tied directly to your identity. A salary number acts as a very real metric of your professional dignity and your perceived value to society. By framing pay as a highly personalized reflection of your self-worth, the corporate system successfully turns a standard financial transaction into a private, vulnerable matter, shielded from external scrutiny. We enforce this privacy through social etiquette. From a young age, we are conditioned by a salary taboo that classifies asking a colleague what they make as inherently rude and unprofessional. What drives this taboo is a specific psychological fear. We worry that sharing our numbers will lead to invidious comparisons, that exposing wage differences will instantly breed jealousy and workplace conflict. To protect our relationships, we internalize this fear. We willingly choose silence to maintain social harmony with our peers. This internalized etiquette does the heavy lifting for the employer. It transforms a structural, strategic corporate advantage into something that feels like a natural, individual preference for privacy. Behind that veil of interpersonal social norms lies a highly sophisticated economic mechanism: information asymmetry. Take a look at this diagram comparing what workers know versus what companies know. On the left, we see the employee's perspective. It's a fragmented, blurry cluster of scattered data points. This represents the worker's profound informational disadvantage, forcing them to rely on unverified, self-reported platforms or pure guesswork to figure out their market value. Now look at the right side. This sharp, mathematically precise bell curve is the employer's perspective. Companies use high-fidelity, enterprise-grade compensation surveys, verified datasets from actual payrolls, to map the exact market distribution for any specific role. This data gap provides immense leverage. Because a firm knows the precise market layout, they can benchmark their initial offers. They target a specific, narrow zone, often around the 25th percentile, that is high enough to attract a candidate, but low enough to maximize corporate profit margins. In any economic transaction, the party with the most complete information dictates the terms. Before you even walk into the negotiation room, you are structurally disadvantaged. To keep this advantage, companies rely on a commitment mechanism. Secrecy allows a business to quarantine every salary negotiation, treating each employee's pay as a completely isolated event. If the system were transparent, granting a single $1,000 raise would trigger what labor economists call bargaining spillovers. Everyone else doing the same work would immediately alter their expectations and demand an equal raise. To prevent this snowball effect of compounding system-wide salary increases, employers bargain far more aggressively against individual requests. Secrecy also solves the problem of wage compression. When inflation is high and companies need to attract new talent, they can secretly pay a market premium to a new hire without being forced to adjust the pay of their loyal existing staff. Meanwhile, the highest earners in the building remain quiet. Their fear of generating resentment among peers successfully masks the true salary ceiling from lower-paid workers. A closed compensation system must actively isolate individual negotiations to maintain its financial equilibrium. Transparency is a severe corporate liability. So what happens to a labor market when this severe information asymmetry is applied universally across the entire economy? The market stops behaving competitively and starts functioning as a monopsony. Because workers cannot accurately value their labor externally, employers gain monopolistic power to dictate regional wages. This structural friction actively restricts your mobility. If you don't know what your work is worth elsewhere, or even in the next cubicle, you are far less likely to migrate to a company where your skills would be most valued. Restricted labor mobility directly creates systemic market failures. This opacity is a primary driver of the persistent gender wage gap and decades of wage stagnation across the broader economy. The modern push for transparency laws and salary disclosure mandates represents a dismantling of this informational monopoly, converting a corporate secret into a public right. The effect of salary secrecy is not random, it is structural. And now you see it a little more clearly.